And with that, I would love to open up the Deep Funding Town Hall. Welcome everyone. Yay. The 24th of August, and we are here for Deep Funding Town Hall. So I'm going to share my screen a little. Start off with a bit of a presentation. So here we are. I'd like to just introduce a little about Deep Funding Town Hall. The Deep Funding Town Hall is an initiative by the SingularityNET Ambassador Program in collaboration with the SingularityNET Foundation. This Deep Funding Town Hall aims to establish an open online space for the Deep Funding and SingularityNET community. So there are some links where we can stay in touch with each other. We would love you to. Anyone who's coming for the first time, we have the SingularityNET link here, the Deep Funding link, and the AI Marketplace, which is in beta. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen out, and we have a little bit of a special today. We're not going to go into breakout rooms. We are going to specialize on Deep Funding Round 3. And with this, I would love to throw it over to Jan to start us off. Please.
Thank you, Fly. So I will do the first part and tell you a little bit about the RFP pool, which I personally think is extremely interesting and exciting, but most of all important. And then afterwards, Rafael will take over with some more general pointers on how to be successful in proposing in deep funding. I prepared a presentation. Yeah, I can just start sharing. Maybe a few words before I do. I think so we postponed Deep Funding Round 3 for a couple of weeks at some point. And I think I mentioned it before, the reason for doing so was a very positive one in this case, because at that time we were, and still have, by the way, very intense discussions internally on the direction that the platform should be taking and how we should work towards our artificial intelligence and the onboarding, the future onboarding of OpenCog Hyperon on the platform and Zarka on the platform. Also in the context of, well, the AI developments all around us. And now us having more and more time freed up from servicing spin-offs to focusing on these things. I think we're really at a pivotal point where the marketplace is concerned. And then at some point I suggested that we might also give a role to deep funding and the community in these exciting things. And at that time, we thought of creating this pool for RFPs. And yeah, the beautiful thing about that is that it enables us to work together on the development of this wonderful direction. And this direction, I will explain a little bit about it just after. I will use the slideshow for that. I'm forgetting what I was going to say. You know what? I'll just open the slideshow and talk you through it that way. Just give me a moment. Yep. Yeah, so that was the birth of the RFP process for, oh, wait a minute, for deep funding, being that we define in a little bit more detail than we usually or than we do normally. Normally we only define the pool, and everybody's completely free what to do. And this time we created a number of RFPs, or requests for proposals, where we are a bit more still with some freedom, or quite a bit of freedom to do what you want, but a bit more direction to what we think would be very helpful to see in this new, I would almost call it a platform part 2. So let me talk you through that. Let me see. Okay. So background of this change in the platform strategy, or this enhancement, I should say, of the platform strategy, is the birth of neurosymbolic LLMs. So everybody knows LLMs. We all also know, I think, they have their flaws and their weaknesses. You see that there are initiatives here and there to augment LLMs with memory structures. And that is something that we also want to provide on our platform. Now, in SingularityNET, we have a lot of experience and knowledge on knowledge graphs. So that's one type of memory structure. And we want to leverage that on the website. So basically what we're building is an internet layer 3 for knowledge based on knowledge graphs that will be a perfect foundation for AIs and LLMs to benefit from and to work on. So, but I'm running ahead of myself, so I'll get there in the next slide. Also important to know is that it's not just these enhancements, this additional functionality. It's also the core functionality that we are putting renewed focus on. So I really expect a lot of things to happen, let's say, in the next 6 months or so. Both core functionality, onboarding really needs to be improved. But there are other things that we're thinking about as well, such as, for instance, hosting of AI as a service. Pricing is not completely finished, so that's something we need to do, and some other things. But apart from that, and that's the focus for tonight, and that's the focus for the RFPs that we put out there, at least 3 out of 4 of them, is LLMs, knowledge graphs, and building our platform towards AGI. So let me start with this graphic here. So what you see is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 at the top. We're now at the start of phase 1. And this gives a little bit of a schematic. It's not complete. It just gives a little bit of a schematic overview of what we are planning to do. So at the bottom, you see the knowledge graph. So at some point, we will have DAS. DAS is our distributed atom space. It's a meta graph, a collection of knowledge graphs, enhanced knowledge graphs. That is an integral part of OpenCog Hyperon. So OpenCog Hyperon needs DAS. And DAS needs is a structure, but it also needs to be filled with all kind of data. And that is what we already can start on very quickly by creating knowledge graphs, just as we have today AI services on our platform. We will be able to create knowledge graphs and fill knowledge graphs on our platform. I will get a little bit deeper into that when I discuss the actual RFPs. And at some point, DAS will be able to encapsulate that and be an umbrella for all separate knowledge graphs with specific functionality. Those can be both open or licensed knowledge graphs. So what we will do on top of that is offer LLM. So we will offer at least one large language model ourselves, an open source one. I'm not sure it's completely decided which one yet, which allows developers to work with LLMs on our platform. So an important change is that where the platform today is a collection of services basically and a transaction mechanism behind it, we expect in the not too far away future, it will also be something where you can develop services. So it will be an area for developers to play around with knowledge graphs and with LLMs and with the other tools that will be provided and create new stuff out of that on our platform. So what you see here are tools. That is also a specific RFP, but we will probably also create some tools from ourselves to work with all these components. Also Meta, that's another part of OpenCog Hyperon. OpenCog Hyperon consists of a number of AI strategies, of which LLM is only one, of a shared knowledge graph below all these strategies. And Meta, which is like a neurocognitive language, if you want, in between to connect all these dots. So there will also be an opportunity to start using Meta for real in this environment of our platform and using it to connect LLMs with knowledge graphs. So that is a very concrete example on how to prepare our platform for OpenCog Hyperon already. We have DAS, we start working with Meta, even though if it is just existing LLMs. What you see here at the top are a number of things that are already there, but that will further mature and further integrate in OpenCog Hyperon. So the next step in phase 2 would be to create and onboard our own what we call neurosymbolic LLM, and that will probably be called Zarka. And differently than the LLMs that we expect to get onboarded on the platform on the short term, Zarka will be completely designed purposefully to work with external memory layers and to allow neurosymbolic reasoning on top of that. So that will already be a very significant step towards OpenCog Hyperon. And then in phase 3, we will see Hyperon also emerge on the platform and then work together with all the tools and all the components, but also all the services that are on the platform. As I said, OpenCog Hyperon is basically a framework. In essence, it's a framework for AGI and for AI, for the collaboration of very different AI strategies. And that fits, and all the services, I should say, fit in perfectly well in that framework of OpenCog Hyperon. So that way, the platform and OpenCog Hyperon are perfectly merged and then being orchestrated by a version of AI DSL. Are there any questions so far on this? If not, I'll just continue, and you can feel free to interrupt me or something afterwards.
Yes, there is a question from Kenneth.
Ken.
Hi. Hello. Back in
class. I hope it's not a difficult question.
So do I. I'm just wondering then, if I were planning a project that wanted to recreate, at least initially, a limited form of cognition, and then later connect into this developing system, is there space within SingularityNET Deep Funding to consider that approach?
I would argue that it's specifically targeted to that approach. So what we will be offering is basically two parts. By the way, this is all in development. It's all quite young, but we're really moving fast on this. So nothing is set in stone here. Some things might still change, but it will be both an area for developing, for working with LLMs and working with knowledge graphs and maybe other knowledge data structures as well. To create these kind of structures and indeed have a service to put some neurosymbolic reasoning on that would be great. And then also to publish it on our website, on our platform, and to monetize it, etc. So yeah, that is part of the thinking behind that. But it's not just that, it's also laying the building blocks for an ongoing roadmap that has no end, that goes beyond just neurosymbolic LLMs, which is already a huge step forward, of course.
Thank you.
So maybe also this, so this would be a kind of an end state of the platform, if there ever is such a thing. And this gives maybe a little bit more of a complete picture. So at the bottom we would have level 1 and level 2 blockchains, even level 0. I think Hypercycle is both L0, L1 and L2. Won't go into the details of that right now, but and of course Ethereum and Cardano. We have computing offered by NewNet and maybe also by Hypercycle, but it could also be offered still by AWS or something else. Then we would have what we call now the layer 3, the knowledge layer, where we will have eventually DAS, which will consist of a large number of data sets and knowledge graphs. To give you an example here, we are working now on feeding DAS with the data from our fly-based genetic data, DNA data from our long-lived flies. And I've been told that right now it is occupying 1 billion nodes already. So this is something that would not have been possible a year ago. But because of the developments that we're going through, we are now able to scale up DAS to that kind of massive usage of nodes and data. And it's still not completely finished. We need to work on it more, which is why we are now starting with separate knowledge graphs and then at a later stage combining it into a full-fledged distributed atom space. Then on top of that, and I just named this layer 4, while I'm at it, would be the layer of artificial intelligence that would make use of the knowledge layer and the knowledge graphs, and would make use of computing and the blockchain layer for transactions. As you can see, Hyperon is there in the middle, and Zarka is also integrated into Hyperon. It will be one of the modules that Hyperon is using for its AGI, just as these other LLMs that we might be using might still be integrated with Hyperon that way. And on the right you see services that might, more than it is today, be seen as plugins into Hyperon. Then, yeah, True AGI is our enterprise business, so that will make specific features, maybe sometimes custom features. All things you're seeing here are, at least as far as we are offering them as tooling. All the code is open source, but it's possible that if an enterprise want to combine or connect their closed source AI to Hyperon, that is also possible, and that is something where True AGI will help and license Hyperon to these kind of large enterprises. And then at top is something that is still a little bit unclear, to be honest. It's the tooling. We know that we need a lot of tooling. We know we need tooling to view, to query, to edit knowledge graphs, but maybe also to visualize knowledge graphs. And yeah, we are also very open to what the community will have to offer there in terms of new and original tools that we can use on our platform. So I think this is a very attractive picture. And the good news is that we're starting building this today with a proper vision on how we will move forward over the next 1 till 2 years. Let's take that as a general scope. Rafael.
Yeah, Jan. Kenrick has a question on the chat. What does Hyperion specifically refer to?
Very interesting question. Hyperion is a follow-up of OpenCog. So the official name is OpenCog Hyperion. And OpenCog Hyperion is what you can say our core product of SingularityNET. But it's a framework. It's a framework that enables varied AI strategies. So it can be large language models, neural nets, but it can also be neurosymbolic reasoning. It can be evolutionary AI strategies and more that work in very different ways and basically all have their own language of doing things. But OpenCog Hyperion will create a framework where all these AI services can collaborate based on our proprietary should say, in-house created open source language, which is Meta, and together work on a shared knowledge base being distributed atom space. So in a nutshell, that is what OpenCog Hyperion signifies. Does that answer your question, Kenrick?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Cool. So this is just a little bit of a backdrop, and these are the things. So what we had all along was a platform for services, and we knew that we would have AI DSL there, and we knew that we would have Hyperion there someday. But what is really new now, apart from just the push that we're giving and the renewed energy we're putting into the platform as such, is that we're now also turning it not only in a platform where you can put and get AI services, but also in a kind of development environment which makes use of what is already on the market today, large language models and knowledge graphs and tooling around it. So that way we'll have a much more complete environment. And our platform is free for all, it's open, it's completely decentralized. We don't even take a margin on any service that is published on our marketplace. So I think if we do this right, this is really a very attractive alternative for any big corporation out there, where the developers and the community is really in charge and will be increasingly in charge. So, unless there are any other questions, I want to make sure that I also leave some time for Rafael later. Let's continue with the RFP. So personally, I was really enthusiastic about all these discussions taking place and this energy and these new ideas in SingularityNET. Also very targeted in not just this is a great idea, but let's build this stuff and let's do it very quickly. So that makes me personally really happy. And yeah, I'm also very glad that we can make the community take part of this by means of these RFPs. So these RFPs, the first one is a little bit different than the other three. I'll explain that later. They signify really important stuff that we want to have on our platform. Now, suppose that we would get no proposal, or there would be no proposal approved by the community. then we will still create that stuff and find a way to put it there. But it would be much, much better to have the community involved in this and work on that together, because not only is it better to do it together, but it will also go a lot faster that way. So the three RFPs are the Community Engagement Score tool. That is actually a follow-up of a tool that is already in progress and is being done by another deep funding team under the wings of Votrack. Thank you, Kendrick. I'll tell a little bit more about that later. And the other three are really targeted on this strategy that I was just outlining. So in very short lines, the first one is about an offer to create knowledge graphs on our platform with appropriate data and user stories. The second one is to create and to offer LLMs, not just LLMs that are out there, but with some additional functionality or tweaking of yourself, making them already memory enhanced. And the third one is an RFP for creating all kinds of tools around this that developers can use to search and to visualize the knowledge graphs and to connect them to LLMs and so on. So I'll just go over all of them step by step, and then my part is done unless you have any more questions about that. I'll start with RFP 1, which is a little bit different. It was actually, thinking back, it could have been an RFP in the previous round, and actually it would have been if we would have had that process back then, but we didn't. So the community engagement score is all about what we used to call reputation. So rating is maybe not the best term always, but keeping track of what users are doing in our ecosystem. So we start with what users are doing in Deep Funding on our proposal portal, so we can reward them in AGIX, but also in engagement score. But it might also using other data points such as voting behavior, wallet behavior, but maybe even being present in meetings like this one. So there's no end to the kind of data points we could collect in there, and we can give each of these data points, each of these interactions, a value. I won't go too deep into that, that's a whole topic in itself, but for the maturity and the development of SingularityNET and Deep Funding specifically, this is an absolutely crucial, essential tool. So I was really, really happy that I found a very good team willing to start building this. But now, so because this is such an important tool, the first phase was will be more like an MVP / proof of concept type of thing. But there's a lot more that we can do, like all these data sources I mentioned are not yet in the scope of the tool. And at some point, we also want to make the tool available outside of Deep Funding and even outside of SingularityNET ecosystem. So that also requires a lot of work. So it's a next phase, and in the spirit of Deep Funding and community and these RFPs, we have offered this also as a specific RFP. And I have to tell you here that the team working on it right now, obviously, has a big advantage here. They know exactly what it's about, and they have already delivered some very good presentations, so I have full faith in that. But there are two things here. First of all, there may be a time when the team might not be interested in going to the next phase and want to do something else. And then if we have part 3 of the community engagement score tool, it will be again an RFP, and then maybe at some point another team might be willing to take over. So that is one option. Also, it's a community-driven thing. It's a community-based funding. So I also want the community to give their approval in doing a second phase for this proposal and give their final say on who should be doing that. Now, and there's one other thing here, which very nicely ties into the other part of the other three RFPs. In my vision right now, I think at some point we should enhance the customer engagement score tool with a knowledge graph. Because imagine, so what we are doing right now, if you create a comment or you get feedback from somebody, we assign a certain value to that, and that value makes up your total score. But suppose we could have all those interactions on different platforms in different contexts with in a knowledge graph, which would also outline relations. Who were you talking with who were you in the meeting, who are you interacting with, and what topics were being discussed, etc. Suppose if you have all that information in a knowledge graph, then it would give very rich environment for a neurosymbolic AGI to make references and to make to advise, to say, well, if you need a person for this role and this person needs to know these things and have to have these capabilities, then maybe you should look at these 5 people, and then we can have the community have the final say and have an election on these 5 people, for instance. So I'm running ahead a little bit of myself here, but this is an invitation to anybody who would like to be part of this. I know that the current team working on community engagement score, they will make a proposal for part 2, but they will not make a proposal for a knowledge graph enhancement. At least that's the current state. They might still change their mind. They're allowed to. But they would love to work together with somebody who would be able to take part in that and create a knowledge graph for our customer engagement score tool. So that's a little bit on this first RFP. Any questions so far? Then I will continue to the second one. So yeah, maybe also good to outline what you see here. So where regular pools have a maximum amount per pool, for the RFPs, we do it on a per RFP base, because some RFPs are complex, some are maybe a little bit easier. Well, there are no real easy ones here, to be honest. And we want to have more control per RFP. So what you see here, unique knowledge graphs or knowledge-based coupled, knowledge bases coupled with clear user stories. So we're targeting knowledge graphs. It might also be other queryable knowledge bases that can somehow be integrated with an LLM, because that is the end goal here. And for each proposal, there is a maximum of 40K. So you could create a knowledge graph or something similar and have a maximum amount of 40K granted for that. I mean, it's up to you if you want to, if you think the whole project will cost 100K, you can still get that 40K at least finance, right? It doesn't always have to cover all your costs. And the maximum amount for this RFP is 100K. So that would be, for instance, 2 proposals of 40K and 1 proposal of 20K, or whatever, 5 of 20K. You can do the math. So that's how the system with RFPs work. Yeah, I think I already talked a lot about knowledge graphs and how to use it. So so there is a blog on deepfunding.ai on RFPs, and in the blog you see all these descriptions, and you see also links to these specific knowledge graphs. Let me see if I can open it here. Yeah, so if you click it, this is the actual RFP. You see here also the 40K and the 100K. And a proper description, some examples of solutions, and some requirements and functional requirements. In this case, must-haves and nice-to-haves and non-functional, but that differs a little bit per RFP. So have a look at them, and would be great if you can make something either for the customer engagement score tool or for something completely different. RFP 3 are the LLMs themselves. So this is a really hard one. This is very sophisticated. So therefore, in this case, the maximum award per proposal is 150K, which is substantial, I would say. But we expect something back for that as well. And the maximum amount for all proposals is 250K. So not every proposal has to go to the maximum, of course. What is important here is that we don't expect you to create a foundational LLM. It would be best to start with a foundational LLM and see if there's a way to fine-tune it or to augment it with some memory structures as a proof of concept even, and try to convince our team of the value of that work. Our internal team will also be reviewing all proposals made and give their own recommendations there. Kenrick.
Yeah, I have a question on this one. I'm wondering if you could propose a small project to do like an architecture rather than committing to doing the whole development. And specifically for our team, I think we have some innovations that might be relevant to this, but it would be a lot to bite off to try to dig into the LLM space in full right away.
I would think that might be very interesting, but my first thought, without knowing all the detail, is that it would be a better fit for RFP 4, which gives tools for graphs and LLM. So if you have an architecture or some tricks that will make the integration of graphs and LLMs easier for other people, that would signify as a tool.
Yeah, okay. I think we have some ideas in that.
Great.
Okay.
Great. Looking forward to see it. So, yeah, I think we can go forward to RFP 4. I don't want to bore all of you to death. This is, as I said, tools. So the maximum award per proposal here is 40K. As we have stated in the RFP text itself, this is on purpose, a very undetermined or vague RFP, because a tool can be a lot of different things, and we want you to be creative, and we don't want to restrict you a priori on that. But we do have a condition that it should have some kind of originality. It should be your own. It should not just be something that you take from the market somewhere and then wrap somehow and put it on the platform. So that is something we will look at a little bit. But apart from that, yeah, you can be creative, and anything that helps anyone working with LLMs and knowledge graphs would be valuable, I would say. So that's it. I think you will be hearing a lot more of our renewed platform strategy in the near, but also in the distant future, because this is not something that will go away. This is something that we will continue to build upon. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So what you see in our organization, I told you about, I'll just stop sharing right now. I told you about distributed atom system and how a year ago, or even half a year ago, it wasn't ready. But now we have a first project where we have actually entered 1 billion nodes in the knowledge graph with genetic data, real important data. We see these things maturing. Meta, our cognitive language, is close to alpha and going towards beta, and there are a lot of improvements, and it's starting to get a language that we can invite others to start working with before long. So that is also getting into really a new state of completion. And then, of course, we have our AI strategies, and here LLMs and everything related to it are, as everybody knows, very exciting. So yeah, we're really entering a stage where we're going from research to development and to integration of all these parts. And if we are able to provide a platform to embed all that technology, then we have really accomplished something amazing. I can guarantee you that. So we have a little while to go, and I hope to see a lot of people in and outside our community helping us and contributing to that, and then together we can make something great here. So that's my part. I'm not sure, are there any questions right now? Like I said, there will be a lot of information following up this in the coming weeks, but probably months, giving you more detail as we are also specifying it in more detail.
I can start. Yes, with a question. So I guess this is related to the knowledge graphs and the RFP pools. What would you recommend for someone who has specialized knowledge in a field in which a knowledge graph could be created from? What would you suggest for someone who wants to contribute, say, that skill set or knowledge from that specific field? But doesn't quite know how to do that? What would you suggest for someone?
At this stage, what we're really looking for is not just data, but also the data structure. So we would need somebody who has both access to a specific targeted data set, has some ideas on how that data can be used and will be used in a real life setting, and has some technical knowledge of binding that into that data structure. If you read, so I would invite everybody to read the blog, but also to read the RFPs themselves, of course. They will give some pointers into what is desired and what some examples on the things that you can provide. If we are one stage further, let's say 6 months from now, and we will have a platform where there are existing data structures and there are tools, then at some point it might be feasible for people who just have access to a lot of data but not that much technical knowledge to use the tools on the platform to just bring their data to the existing data structures.
Great stuff. Nice. Does anyone else have any questions?
They will come later, I'm sure, when we also publishing more data on this. And yeah, so what I would like to say, if you have any questions that are more technical in nature, we can link you with technical people in our organization. Also, be aware that the closing date for deep funding is already at September 3rd, so it's not that far away anymore. It is, of course, holiday time. We thought long about whether we should start in holiday or not, and it was a little bit delayed even. But so otherwise we would probably have had this meeting and this presentation 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I don't know. Should you get into any issues, if you think I have the greatest idea, I have a high quality proposal, but somehow this deadline, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it, at least let us know. That is valuable information for us. We can't make any exceptions for any people. A date is a date, but who knows? So please let us know so we can perhaps act on that. Walter, sorry, I see your hand up.
Worries. I formulated two questions because I do better writing. So one is about the connection to the decentralized ledger. Another is about sort of a broader view of reputation. So I guess my question on those, whether there is an interest and how one could start exploring those topics.
And so I understand the topics. So you have topics about what you call centralized blockchains, I think, or transaction layers, and the reputation system. Both things, there's a lot to tell about. If you want to have information, the first obvious thing would be to go to our website. I know.
No, what I mean is that for this group that's deeply embedded into the Web3 or blockchain expertise, I'm somewhat surprised that we're not exploring the connection, because the generic AI topic is going to be covered by every one of Fortune 500 and every university, and there is already 11 billion in funding. So whereas the connection with DLT, I think we can stake out a fairly substantial role. Some kind of, so for me, it's kind of a curiosity that we're not making that connection more, even if we're part of the fund.
Yeah, that's a very very important point, and we should continue to stress that. I did try to make the point, but sometimes we're overwhelmed by AI and everything AI can do, but we're really about decentralization and by giving everybody access to our AI. So our platform is fully open. Our marketplace, maybe not fully, but our platform is fully open for everybody. No restrictions whatsoever. So we are creating an environment where everybody can have access if you have a computer and an internet connection, where everybody can build stuff, where everybody can put their stuff on the platform, and where all other people can use it. So this also ties into the story of OpenCog Hyperon, which is it's open source, OpenCog Hyperon, that for starters. But it will be embedded on the platform where it will be accessible by everybody, and everybody will be able to augment and to extend the capabilities of that artificial general intelligence framework. And like I mentioned, the platform is open to such an extent, there is a currency there, AGIX, to pay for API calls, whether it's an API call from a knowledge graph or API source. But sorry, I'm a little bit distracted here. But the revenues from the API service go directly and fully to the person who deployed it, to the developer of that AI service. So also in that sense, what we are creating is completely open. So I think with that and the highly, very, very sophisticated technology that we are bringing to it, and all the other technology that other partners will be bringing to it, if we do this right in the next year or so, this will be a very interesting proposition and alternative to any Fortune 500 centralized solutions out there. I hope I have convinced you with that.
Still, I read, if it's not mentioned in any of the RFPs or any of the other stuff, there isn't really focus or interest. And in all honesty, I'm not sure that this group, as great as it is, can outcompete Google and whoever and Microsoft in AI specifically, but I'm pretty sure we can outcompete them in Web3 and DLT. So that's just, straight up business niche focus type of an argument.
Yeah. So that's an important advantage that we have, and we hope that is also one reason to attract a lot of people. And Linux is very successful and against centralized big tech. So I think there is at least there is a proven use case that it's possible to fight with big tech on this. Or, yeah, well, let's leave it at that. I was wanting to say something about fighting. I don't think we necessarily need to fight with big tech, but we need at least to provide a very good alternative. Ken?
In my personal opinion, I think that it's also the question of culture. How exclusionary or inclusive is a culture? Say, would someone of my nature, autistic nature, be hired to Google and in a position to influence the process? And something that I think is, and I've never worked at Google, so I don't know for sure. This is based on my experience with software houses on a much smaller basis. But with SingularityNET, I think that the culture is open and inclusive enough that there's a real chance to influence things. So does that give us an edge over a megalithic entity?
Yeah, I would say so, indeed. Also, I would like to stress here that so if you work for Google, you work for Google, and whatever you create is the IP of Google and not of yourself. Whatever you create for SingularityNET is yours. We think it's great if you offer that as open source, but it's not even a requirement. All our code, all the software that we are creating, maybe not all the data such as the flight days, but the software that we're creating, inclusive OpenCog Hyperon, is open source. But you can still create something yourself. You could keep it closed source if you want, and you can monetize on it, and it's yours. And you can let anybody you want benefit of that. So I don't think it's an easy thing, and we all feel the pressure these days of anything that's going on in AI these days. And that is also a reason why we are in a hurry. We're in a hurry with the platform. We're in a hurry with OpenCog Hyperon. But, and that's a completely different topic, which you also hear a lot from later on, is our speeding up decentralization. So that's a whole other topic that in view of time, I won't go in right now, but we're having plans. We will be electing a new supervisory council. We will be electing a group of domain experts, and together with them, we will write a blueprint for enhanced decentralization in the SingularityNET organization, because what we're talking about until now is the technology that we're creating, but there's also an organizational aspect there, and we're also very, very, very serious about decentralizing that. And Deep Funding is a pretty good example on how we take the community serious and try to work with the community and give the community say in what we're doing, and moving step by step to a situation where the community can completely take charge of everything. And we want to spread that out to the whole organization, but in a sustainable and a responsible way. Then I think right now I should give the podium to Rafael. What do you have to add to this, Rafael? I think a lot.
Thank you very much, Jan. Indeed, sometimes we tend to think about decentralization only from the perspective of the technology. But something that really catch my eye before is that the fact that the SingularityNET itself as an organization also goes towards the decentralization process, as we can see in this sync on down blueprint that we are designing together with the community, and also having the technology going that direction. Myself, I am very involved as well in processes of decentralization, even in processes that normally we don't see, like operations. So that's very important because it shows how decentralization is embedded in our core as SingularityNET. So it's really interesting to see this happening. And as you mentioned, I can foresee in not in a long term, but perhaps in a mid-term, big corporations leveraging this concept from what SingularityNET is also developing. So indeed, but it's complex. It's not an easy process to make it happen. That's why we are hearing you, connecting with you as well to bring more and more insights. And about insights, I would love to, I saw, Kenrick, you mentioned it about we should call the platform not necessarily as a platform, right? The name, perhaps the term should be different. I would love to hear, if possible, from you, your perspective, because sometimes I also kind of struggle with this platform, marketplace. So what are your perspective on that?
I don't have a good idea. I just think certainly we could come up with some more creative name than the platform.
Okay, perhaps from the...
Or maybe what we need to do is get one of these LLMs on the problem. Come up with a name for us.
Yeah, why not? That's a good one, indeed.
Actually, we have had that discussion internally as well, too, triggered by Ben at some point. Hey, can we think of something more sexy and interesting than platform? But we haven't reached a conclusion there. I think it was a while ago that we talked about it. Recently, today, I wrote an article where I called it a distribution channel, but even that is also just a part of the whole story, because it's also going to be more like a building thing. But we're open to suggestions.
I really like Walter's suggestion. Was it PlanNet? That was really good.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. We should open a mission, SWAE, and having the proposals, and then we could vote in the ideas. Why not, right? Amazing. Okay. Going forward, guys, thank you very much, Ian, for this presentation and introduction of RFPs. First, I would like to make a remark about something that it seems that's not that clear, and I would like to reinforce that this round 3, we are not having rewards for voting. Okay, we have rewards for comments, reactions, going towards the algorithm that we have, but not for voting per se. And there are some reasons. First, our tools are not prepared to calculate votes. And also last round, we had a very small percentage, less than 10% of rewards coming from voting. So therefore, and also a third point is that we believe that voting itself, it should come as a situation where you really want to see that project thriving, and not on a monetary perspective. For that, you have the comments and so on to give this push, but not for voting. Okay, just a small remark here that I would like to make it even more clear. Another topic before I jump into the proposals itself, I would love to hear from you if you have some insights or perception about the number of proposals that we have. I've received a lot of feedback from you in social media and etc. about the numbers that we are achieving on our proposals portal. We have about 10 days until the end of the submission period, with about 22 proposals, mostly on marketing pool, which also is something that it's interesting to analyze. As Ian mentioned, we discussed it with you before about the situation of holiday, if you believe that would be impactful. But if you have, from my perspective, this is what's happening, but I would love to hear if you have some insight or information why we are not, especially because we have 3 times the amount of award, right? If you have some insight about why is this happening, I would love to hear from you. Okay, Rojo, please.
From my perspective, I think that the fact that marketing is the most proposed in pool, and the others kind of are going around 1 to 2 proposals each, means that you need more marketing, I guess. That's kind of like the obvious hint. That's why people are kind of putting more effort into the marketing pool.
Okay, yeah, sounds logic, absolutely. Also crossed my mind the fact that people are more interested in that because we need to have better marketing strategy or tasks execution. However, we also have a small, if compared to the rest, right, a small pool for marketing. And at the same time, why the background of marketing is reaching out more than the technical one. But I don't have the answer, to be honest, but yes, it's a good insight, absolutely. Mauro, please.
Hi. Well, I think it's too early to make any conclusions because, for example, I have people that are working for different proposals from the other pools, and they are ultimating details. So the best example was in this round of Catalyst were 500 proposal, and one day until the submitting proposal ends, it was 1,500 proposals submitted. So maybe it's too early to make any conclusions. And the second thing that I was thinking is that maybe the current market situation and the vacation in Europe and that kind of stuff is making people go far away, and some people don't know about this initiative. So I think that this is a huge amount of things, but I think it's too early to make any conclusion, and I hope that it's in these 10 days at least to see the double amount of proposal on each pool, at least, in my opinion. But if we fail, we can see what happens regarding to the next round.
Yeah, thank you. Indeed, what you said about people perhaps are not aware about, it goes directly with in combination what Rojo said about the marketing part itself, right? Also, I also have a lot of connections with teams that are working on proposals at this point, and they are bringing at least 10 proposals to the portal. But it's good to know that others also are performing in a very good decentralization effort, which the community also handle this type of situations. Very, very good to know. Thank you, Mauro. Yeah, Ken, please.
This is it's more of a question, but it's based on how I'm perceiving it. I'm wondering if it's a question of timing, where it's the summertime and people are on vacation, the volume of activity in the AI space and the events that people are committing themselves to. And in a sense as well, can we differentiate perhaps, or consider differentiating the deep funding promotions on Twitter with color schemes, that they all begin to sort of look similar. And there's so much information to kind of go through that some visual queues might be helpful as well. So I think it's timing, events, the immense amount of AI activity, and perhaps just the visual representation is the same as every other SingularityNET promotion on, say, Twitter. So perhaps there's opportunity there to begin to shape it based on design.
Okay.
Of course, I don't know if any of that's true, but that's what I think right now.
No, interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, and speaking about the Twitter and visual marketing, branding, actually, we have here Mauro that proposed exactly a project to have this redesigned in order to achieve and reach bigger audience through branding. So also goes along with what you put it, Ken. Yeah, thank you very much for your insight. Guillermo, hey, please.
Yo, how you guys?
Good.
I have some background in communications. Sometimes it's all about the message, you know. Here, I have a 19-year-old kid in Iowa State University studying computer science. He doesn't know about the project. He's studying Python. He's studying what we are trying to achieve here. He doesn't know. He has been in holidays, and we discussed this, as Jan mentioned before. But sometimes it's not only about the messages, which media you're playing in. You can spend $100,000 in a message, and if it's not appropriate for the media, it's all money to the trash. So we discussed, and I think it was a proposal on round 2, and I remember we went through this topic in several town halls. My experience when I was a student is to reach the talented, suited individuals in the state of form. You know, it's like you want a good chef, go into a kitchen. So so it doesn't matter which color you use for a layout. And then what is that we are offering that is different? Grants to create. Kids are dying for having time and to pay their noodles, cup of noodles, to be able to do their own stuff. So I think we need to reassess the strategies where we're reaching. There's a lot of noise on Twitter, more with Trump and the GOP and airplanes falling from the sky. People are distracted with rubbish.
Okay.
So I think also there's something to analyze on the strategy where you're putting the investment as the review that you send on this coin graph. I think it was a whole news. So that I think that's the right place for
Okay.
communicating.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And I'm loving the feedback that you guys are giving me, because it goes also overlaps a lot with my my strategy. For instance, what we mentioned, I have this plan that it's ongoing to have the academic sector pretty much involved in what we are doing by reaching the academic environment to deliver, to make proposals. Basically is this, right? And not only the university itself, because sometimes it's too bureaucratic and it's hard to have them involved, but going towards going for the blockchain groups in these universities, which we have top universities involved, and they have pretty much they can decide for their strategy. So it's going to be quicker for them to involve in the proposals. So yes, thank you very much, Guillermo, for your point of view. It's very interesting. Thank you. Fly, you are muted.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, just some initial thoughts. I think definitely there's something to do with Fund 10. I think it's also like the developer community from the community side is underdeveloped right now, and I think a good example of seeing that is within the ambassador program. Of there are people that come in with these relevant skills, but there's not ways to kind of engage properly with those skill sets right now. And I think there could be more, even events like having matchmaking events with people who have specific skill sets that early on in a process they can start to meet others which they kind of may go on to a team with. I do think that separately, I think if SingularityNET and the platform is chain agnostic, then it needs to be a bit clearer, because there's kind of heavy relations to the Cardano developer community. And also one thing that I remember from Dor Garbash's presentation at the summit, he was talking about successful funding initiatives, and something that struck out for me was he mentioned consistency. And I think this is really important information in order for like to be able to plan for work, not just in like 3 months or 6 months, but 12 months, 18 months into the future with making projects, especially in the kind of modular fashion that now it's been like quite a lot of time since the last round, when it was said that there would be another one between 3 and 6 months. So I think something has been affected by that, and I think it will help to have this consistency and also knowledge about not just this round but future rounds, especially if people are creating projects in this modular way. Like for instance, this question I asked you, Rafael, about round 4 and when that was happening in the channel, Discord channel, is really useful information to like be planning 6, 12, 18 months in advance with these kinds of large scale projects that the community is, or this project is too small to create these from scratch. So there always needs to be this kind of interdisciplinary modular approach of collaboration, and I think that collaboration specifically between individuals and teams is something that can be developed, perhaps with these matchmaking or speed dating things.
Right. Thank you very much. The word is consistency. Yes, you are right. At the moment that we start to have the consistency, for instance, every March, we know that we are going to have a round. Every July, every November. So members of the community or out of the community will be already planning to be there. Oh, I can't do in March, but I know that the next one, so I'm going to plan. And indeed, I answered you in the channel about your question about the round 4, right? And I don't, even though I don't have a specific date, it was that situation where I said, we are planning, right? It's not ideal. It's not, but we are going towards, we were internally discussing this today, for instance, to have more clear, perhaps not even the month, but the day itself that we are going to start, to give the community this clarity in the process. Yes, with some good surprises in between the regular rounds, but yeah, that's absolutely a good insight. Thank you very much, Fly. Tommy, please.
There's an old saying is, what is the secret to telling a good joke? And the answer is timing of the saying. And that's a joke into itself. But AI, from what I can see currently, is one of the hottest segments in the technical world. And the timing is you're up against the big dollars being spent by the big companies. The Eye of Sauron, so to speak, is on NVIDIA and Snowflake and Palantir and all these other projects that are looking for AI. The people or the teams coming in, technical teams coming in to propose in SNET or Deep Funding, may not currently be a lot of them around because the big dollars are being paid by these other companies. Also, the timing of over the, as Mauro said, over the holiday of summertime, parts of the world shut down for August. So it's, I think a lot of it is just timing on the technical end. Obviously, on the marketing end, we've gotten a lot of, a decent amount of proposals in. I don't know whether you're considering extending by a week or two. If you would take it as a recommendation that you think about it, just to give these technical teams or developers out there a little bit more time, and get out of the noise of the summer, all the Twitter and everything else that's going on. So just my observation, Rafael.
No, thank you very much. Indeed, timing is everything, right? You might have the best tools and everything, but if you don't have the timing, it's not going to happen. Of course, the extension is something that crossed our minds as well, but we don't want to make this as a regular, since we had this took this decision the last round. We don't want to make it usual. But I would, for instance, now, since Tom suggested, for instance, we have a few developers in the technical part here. Please raise the hand in the system here. Who of you would be are not delivering a proposal because of time, for instance? Okay. SWAE, Sefer. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Okay.
so hello everyone, and thanks for the awesome call we had so far. Thank you everyone. That was one of the best calls I had during the last month. I really enjoyed. And secondly, regarding the proposal, so today I just noticed about the funding round 3, and I actually found out about the call about, I would say, 30 minutes before starting. So I would say probably we might be able to prepare our proposal before the end of round 3, but it's gonna be, something in rush. So I would recommend to have maybe a few more days so we can get connected, read more information. John shared us a really great presentation. I would like to spend my whole day at maybe Sunday or Saturday to read those documentations. So no worries, John. I'll come back to you with many questions for sure. And the reason that we haven't raised our hand was because we couldn't get all the information we need through this call. But yeah, so if we can go for a small extension, I agree. But otherwise, we'll do our best to actually prepare our proposal in the current deadline, based on the current deadline. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sefer. Indeed, it's something that I understand your point, and I am open. You can reach out to me in Discord, Telegram. If you don't have, I can share later in the chat my handles in order for you to ask me anything, okay, that you need.
Yes,
if I don't,
much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so we have also Fly and Walter. Would you like to give some insight, or is just raising the hands, right? And
yeah, I would like to say that, but I would say I would be very hesitant if I was in Deep Funding's position to like extend the whole process by a week, but perhaps if the next stage of the process is 2 weeks, then maybe maybe that can be this stage can be extended 1 week, and this other stage to be brought from 2 weeks to 1 week. But I would be hesitant about now changing the dates set for, say, the results. One thing I would notice, perhaps this has something to do with the proposals on the platform, but the fact that there's a commenting section for giving feedback and responses, and it seems a little bit weird that you can vote from the first day, that if it is a stage where proposals are in drafts, then is there a stage in this process where you can put a draft proposal on there, you can make a comment, you can respond and improve your proposal, but it's not available for voting yet? One of the things I've noticed with both rounds is that I've put proposals on which are kind of in draft mode or being developed on the platform and with the feedback of the people who comment, but I see that already people vote after giving these first initial feedbacks, which the end proposal is not going to look in the same state as it was in those first days when those people were voting. So I think if perhaps that can be defined more, or if there is voting at the start, then or maybe there's not voting at the start for a little period.
Just a question. You consider the voting that voting at the bottom of the page, right? That's what you are mentioning. Yeah, because in fact we have the tool for voting, which is separate from that. That basically that's a temperature for the team to get. It's not the final vote.
Okay, yeah, great. I forgot that. Okay, great. Thank you. Great.
Yeah, that's something that we should make more clear, indeed. Yeah, right, Jan? It's the case,
Yeah,
right?
I'm biting my lip here. So we had a discussion on timing of this round, also related to going away from SWAE to our own custom platform. And in our own platform that we're building and advancing in, it will be different. I hope, and I personally am convinced it will be a lot better. And we'll have much more better ways of tweaking it exactly how we want to have it. Right now, there are a lot of things. I mean, SWAE is a great team, etc. But there are a lot of things that I don't particularly like for this purpose that we're using it for. And actually voting doesn't make a whole lot of sense on the platform, because we're doing that in our own voting portal with wallets, etc. So if it would be possible, I might just leave it out together, take it out, but it's not possible, unfortunately.
Yeah, we can have it tailored for us, the platform. It's generic for SWAE, so this type of situations we can't take it out of the platform, unfortunately. Walter, thank you, Fly.
I'm sorry, I took my hand down.
Okay. But thank you for
What I wanted to say is my ability to assist my colleagues would greatly improve if I had a little more time.
Okay.
So it's not even about me, it's about the kind of collaborative process and the overall quality of what's coming your way.
May I take this, Rafael? May I make one more comment on extension? Rafael and me had some discussions on that, even today. I don't want to raise any expectations that we are not certain of. I also don't want to be too quick in saying that we'll extend it. We did it last time, and indeed, we shouldn't make too much of a habit out of it. Rafael proposed to do some kind of inventory on teams that he knows to ask if they will be ready in time. And if the outcome of that would be that we would be missing out on a lot of high value proposals that we would get if we would postpone it a little bit, then that might be a reason to do that. Otherwise, I would also mention that if we would postpone it for a week or even 2 weeks, I'm very sure that even at the end of that period, there will still be people who would say, oh, but I'm not ready, something happened, and could I have 1 more week? So it's a balancing act. We took a risk in doing this during the holiday, and we discussed that. But I don't want to be inflexible, but we are reviewing the situation. And that is also why I also before asked you, if you want to submit a proposal, and especially also these RFP proposals are definitely not the easiest ones to do if you want to do it right. And you think you will not be able to complete it due to timing, please let us know. And I don't know how we will use that, what the outcome will be of that information. If it is 1 person, we won't do anything. If it is 20 people, we have a different situation, and maybe somewhere in between as well. So I don't want to take the pressure off of the 3rd of September yet.
Yes, thank you, Jan. Please, Guilherme.
So, just following the topic, maybe to write a strategy to have just thinking out loud, okay? Because as Jan was saying, we postponed 2 weeks. Sure, there are going to be people online too that will need 1 more week or so. So editing maybe is available, and people would be able to upload and submit proposals in a draft, and that way we can evaluate, and you guys can evaluate if those proposals have the strength, and probably it's submissions till the 3rd, maybe 1 week, and then you open a week for editing, because it has been proven for all of us that comments, and one of the added values of the funding is us interacting. It makes better and better proposals. We all do. Fly was mentioning. Comments make us review, and that maybe is a way for not postponing, because as you guys were saying, and Fly, again, I think you make the right point, consistency, and then having applied the rules is good, because that way you don't delay on the timeline, and maybe not postponing, make the round 4 sooner than later. Budget is not all on off, and this start moving faster and faster, and we oiled up how we reach developers. We make that in a better way. I see a lot of PhDs on proposals, but not students. So there's a lot of things that on the round 4 we can do better and keep the wheel running. Just to.
Okay. No, it's an interesting point. Definitely the fact that we don't want to push further the round 4, the start of round 4, right? Another point that you comment, Fly, also, and I ended not addressing, is the fact that We have also the eligibility review that's going to happen towards this next week, where the proposals are going to receive feedback from a community team that we built in order to have this type of changes in your proposals, along with the possibility of changing the proposal itself based on the comments and reactions that you received. So there is a time after the end of the submission that you can make some tweaks in your proposal. Okay, then you can get the feedback from the community. Thank you, Guilherme. Harry, please.
Hey guys, yeah, so great meeting I felt today so far. It's been very helpful. So quick feedback on this stuff. So the big picture stuff, everything, everywhere, all at once. I think several people have said that. So just park that one. Yeah. F10 is a nightmare over in Catalyst. It's the summer holidays. For the second year running, I've had a proposal date fall on our wedding anniversary, and we've got child off getting ready for uni, all that stuff. So, and I know Curtis and the other guys understand. So that's just how it is. I liked Fly's points. My learning from DF2, where we got our little micro proposal through, was I really loved the fact that we put the proposals in, and I know I've said this to Jan and the guys before, the level of feedback we got from the community was quite amazing and really, really helpful. And I ran it as you should. I've done a lot of RFPs in the past and had big teams working for me doing them. So I don't know a lot about it, but I understand a bit about the process. But we lent into that process you guys set up, and it really worked well. And I was really amazed at the level of feedback we got. However, as Fly said, the issue, and Curtis said, the issue there is, yeah, when you've iterated your proposal and it's at the end, the feedback and the voting doesn't fit. But that's okay, that's just a small comment. In terms of where we are, because we've been talking about things from our little proposal, and we've got potentially 2, 3 or 4 proposals we could put in, and we've got some very smart people who've been helping us, like Walter and Ubio, and obviously the guys from Decipher and Fly. Where we got to with it is, I don't believe you should, like Fly said, it doesn't work to move the end date, because that just means it just hits the buffers again, and then you worry about all the other stuff you haven't done, and it doesn't, as a group, it's hard to move it forward. However, I do like the thing of, in this instance, we'd really love some great feedback. And like you said, it may be we've got a proposal or two that we wouldn't put in with no feedback, but if we've got time to worry about it, and particularly the things like knowledge graphs and that, we could put it up, and then people would say, well, it's to Harry, that's just rubbish. And that's the end of it. So that would be helpful. So that's sort of my feeling. I don't know what the rest of the guys think, but that was my feeling to it. But it's what Fly was saying, never move the end date. Because, and the other thing I'd say is, if you're going to give more time, do it quickly. Otherwise it just burns up this week and next week, and everyone's still in the same position. So very quickly decide yay or nay, and do it. That was my little 2 penneth, but I think it's been a great experience and very helpful way of doing stuff. Yeah. Thank you very much, Harry. Yeah, indeed, you are completely right. This everything but this last sentence that you made, the last point that you made, it's indeed, if we wait too long, we are going to have the same problem, because we are going to have short time for people to deliver the proposal. So thank you for this insight. Yeah, the point of not pushing the end of the cycle, but reorganizing the middle of it, it might be some good strategy as well. Taking 1 week from here and putting there, and making work with the October 20 as the final
date for announcing the awarded teams, perhaps even the voting week being the same, and just addressing the changing some period weeks. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Okay, I guess we already passed, right, the time. I would go through the portal with you. I am pretty sure most of you already know. Is there anyone here that is having problem with the portal, registering, making the proposal, or something like that I could help at this point?
I did notice something today, which I think there's 2 different end dates on the deepfunding.ai/schedule. Submission of proposals will close on Sunday, September 3rd, 23:59 UTC. And on SWAE, when I go into the pools, see, I go into tooling, it says ends on 12:59 on September the 4th. So with this idea that people submit on the last day, maybe there's some confusion there.
That's another situation that I've been dealing with, SWAE. You put a time, for instance, and it goes to when it's safe and goes to the view all missions page. It's a different one. For me, it's September the 3rd. I'm not sure why for you. Oh, potentially as well, flights, because it's UTC. So for you, it's showing your time there.
Yeah, I think that I'm 4 hours ahead of you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 23:59 UTC. So perhaps that's why it's showing you on the 4th, September 4th.
It says 12:59 a.m. on September 4th. Let me just share my screen.
Yeah.
This one here.
They start, yeah. For instance, mine is September 3rd, 8 p.m. So,
Okay. Now I understand. Yeah, okay, this is automatically in local time. Okay, great. Cool.
Okay.
Nice.
But indeed makes some confusion, but I try to always put UTC in the announcements, but yeah. But glad it's not a problem anymore.
Perfect. Yeah, man, that's great.
Thank you very much for your input. Anyone else having troubles or difficulties? Please, if you are going to comment and make reactions in the proposals, don't forget, if you are willing to receive the rewards, please go to the edit your profile and put your wallet, okay, Cardano wallet. Ideally Shelly address, DDR1, but that's better, okay? Please, Curtis.
Sorry, Rafael, I couldn't find my screen, having the same issue. On that note, so is that, because I did the multi-wallet thing, so I've got 4 or 5 wallets connected to, so is that what you're talking about? I remember there being two separate wallet connections.
Yeah, this is for voting, which you are talking. In the case of comments, you are not making, well, not even for voting, a transaction or something. So you have the collection of wallets, right? That's what you are referring to. Jan, it doesn't affect the comments and etc., right? Because it's just for putting your Cardano wallet in the profile of SWAE. It's a different.
Sorry, what is the question? I was caught up in the meeting chat.
Well, I remember last round there was the SWAE platform where you connect a wallet, and then there was a different platform where you're actually combining all your wallets. So are they still separate platforms, or?
Unfortunately, they are separate platforms, but the wallet linking tool that you are referring to is very important to us. So it enables you to link multiple wallets, and it would be very helpful to have, well, let's put it this way. If one of the wallets that is connected to your wallet linking tool is also a wallet that is part of your profile in SWAE, then we can connect these two actions. In last round, that was important because if you had a reputation and you voted, then we would give you a little bit of AGIX just for the act of voting. In this round, that is not available because our tooling doesn't allow that yet. Maybe we'll have it back in the next round. But however, at some point, we will be transitioning to our own platform from SWAE to our own platform. And at that moment, we will need to, or we would like to be able to connect people on our new platform with IDs, let's call it IDs or profiles on our own platform, because if you have collected some kind of reputation score or engagement score or whatever, that would allow us to migrate that history along with your profile, so you can continue to build and don't have to start over again. So I think at some point we will be asking all people to have at least a wallet ID, or the actually to have. Okay, one step back. It's a new feature that we still have to build. In the wallet linking tool, what we want to enable is to create a hash which signifies your ID. And we will ask you to add that hash to your SWAE ID and to your WordPress ID. And that way we can connect everything together if you want to do that. Of course, none of that is required, but the main reason is that that way we will be able to maintain and keep and store your collected reputation value. So the wallet linking tool is a tool for linking all your wallets, both Cardano and Ethereum. Maybe in the future it will be even more platforms. We need to improve the usability a little bit. We need to add that hash option there, so you can use that hash in multiple, or in the WordPress platform, but also in the SWAE platform, so everything is connected.
Thank you, Jan. Just really quick on that, are ADA handles okay in this screen that Rafael's looking at?
What do you mean with ADA handle?
Can I use ADA handle for wallet address in that field?
Oh, that one. I didn't see it. Well, only I don't think so. Only if we can connect it to a wallet address. And I'm not sure if I don't think the wallet linking tool is supporting these kind of handles right now. But that might also be an interesting thing to investigate.
Thank you.
Oh, but the best would be in your additional wallet details. Also, or have one of your wallets on the wallet linking tool, and in the future we will ask you to add your the hash, the ID, basically, of your wallet linking tool there.
That's good progress. Thank you. Yeah, because I that could be why I have ADA handle there, and I didn't get any of the incentivized AGIX tokens that happened in the previous rounds, which obviously was me not putting in the right information. So
that is as far as voting is concerned, that might be a reason. If you have reputation points collected just on the platform, because only 10% of all reputation points and AGIX that came with it was based on voting activity. 90% was based on activity on the platform. But also there we had some tiers, and people who only had very few activity on the platform would not be rewarded, but we built in some kind of threshold there. All right.
Hey, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Kurt, for your question.
Rafael, maybe I missed it when I was also in the chat, but did you also tell people about that wonderful AI summary on SWAE?
Oh, thank you, Ian, for remembering. Yes, when you are creating your proposal, this way, let me start from the beginning. When you are going to create your proposal, you are challenged to choose one of two options, a do-it-yourself or an AI supportive proposal. I would suggest for you guys to go towards the do-it-yourself, not the AI one. Okay, that's the first hint that I can give you, especially because for each question that you don't have to follow, but we really foster you to do, it's very important to do it. I specify what that part of the proposal should be talking about. When you go to the AI one, it's not appearing, and they try to do some different proposals, and it's not ideal, but it's up to you, okay, for doing. Once you do it, regardless if in the do-it-yourself or the AI one option, SWAE is going to generate an AI summary for you. It's also sometimes bigger than the proposal itself. I might be in kind of extreme here, but sometimes it's too large and brings a lot of nonsense into it. So I would suggest you also to delete the AI summary and create your own. You are able to do your own AI summary. You can use ChatGPT, for instance, or another LLM for doing it, but normally I wouldn't suggest you to keep the AI summary that SWAE generates for you. Okay. Nice. Anything else from your side, guys?
Great job. Great town hall. Yay.
Great town hall. Yes. Yay. Very good. Nice. Yep.
All right. I would say, Rafael, let's try to make a decision on the end date, the submission end date at the beginning of next week or the first half of next week or something. See if we can get some information in, and then, because indeed, if we wait one more week and people that now are pressed are not starting because they think they will not make it, will be in exact same situation if we wait too long with that decision. So yeah, I wish ourselves a lot of wisdom in that decision.
Yes. And thank you for your feedback, everyone. It was very important for us to support our decision in that sense.
And thank you for asking for the feedback. That's a good thing. Thank you.
Our pleasure. That's it, I guess. Flights with you now.
Yeah. Well, guys, you made it till the end. You have completed the mission. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you, Rafael. Thank you, Jan. Thanks for all you and your questions, your answers, and your discussions. It's been a beautiful, beautiful town hall. And thank you so much for coming. See you around.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks
for
for having
hosting,
us.
Sai. You did a
Thank
great
you
job.
all.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you,
a
guys.
lot.
Take care.
Thank you all. Always a pleasure.
Cheers.
Next time.
Bye.